Markets are open on this Friday, so first things first, let's go right to the futures provided by Bar Chart to see where our openings are. Right now in the corn market, remember, last night, a little bit higher, but now March corn is up 4 cents at 5.54 and a quarter. December is up 5 3/4 at 4.65 and a quarter. So we're taking off over here in the corn market. Soybeans up 12 and a quarter on the March, 13.87 and a quarter, and September's up 14.5 cents at 12.47 and a quarter. We're very near the highs so far here today on these markets. Soybean meal up $3.20 a ton. Soybean oil up 59 cents a hundredweight. And on to the Chicago wheat market, where March is up 5, the July is up 4 1/4 cents at 6.54. Kansas City wheat for March up 7 1/4, and the new crop July up 7 at 6.53 1/2. Minneapolis wheat for March up 1 1/4, the July up 1 3/4 at 6.52 1/2. Cotton for March up 15 points and December up 7 at 85.15. And joining us right now is Brian Hoops with Midwest Market Solutions. Good to see you this morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us here. You've had the chance to go through some of these outlook numbers and kind of look at things and what the outlook is saying. How do you think the market's viewing those numbers, and what's your opinion of what we've seen so far?
Yeah, good morning, John. I think what we're looking at from strength in the grain markets this morning, it's all tied to the fundamentals of the Outlook conference. Those corn numbers, soybean numbers, and even to a lesser extent, the wheat, I thought were very positive for our balance sheets. You look at what the USDA is assuming. This is the corn acreage would be the third largest we've ever planted in history. The corn yield would be the largest in history, and yet ending stocks are still very tight, 1.55 billion bushels. Soybeans, that would be an all-time record for planted acres. We've never planted that many acres before, if that is the actual number. And as far as yield, that's the second largest yield we would ever grow in history. So things are going to have to be just perfect this year. Maximum growing acres, maximum yield potential. And then our ending stocks really don't substantially increase. As I said, the corn was 1.55. That's almost identical to the tight stocks we have right now. And soybeans, that's only 140 million bushel projection by the government. That's 15 million more than what we have on hand right at this time, according to what the USDA says. So there's just really very little room for error this growing season, and the market's taking notice of that and putting in some premium, as we badly need to secure even more acres, I feel, going into the spring planting timeframe.
Oh, I tell you what, there's been a lot of talk about the battle for acres at this point. Okay, take everything that you said there into consideration. But if everything would go right, and demand does remain the same, or maybe even demand starts to fall off a little bit because of whether it's an economy or whatever the case may be, all of a sudden, you could make a case for we would have really big supplies, especially if Brazil would follow suit and plant wall to wall too, wouldn't they?
Yeah, right. You can make that case, and what the trade will try to anticipate is, when have we made the crop? When is the crop secure? And usually we have to go through pollination before that happens. So we may not just make a high in March or April. We may try and extend the highs all the way through the growing season, or at least keep a pretty substantial premium in the market until we are assured that we are going to plant these acres, and we're assured that they're not going to be abandoned, and we're assured that this crop has gone through pollination, pod setting stage, all that, and the forecasts are not real threatening. But you could probably make a case, yeah, that if we do all this, we plant record acres, we have a perfect growing season, our ending stocks could be bigger than what the USDA is telling us today. That's certainly possible. Maybe the dollar rallies, exports slow down, whatever the reason could be. We certainly could be on the road to rebuilding these stocks. So, producers will want to be taking advantage of that for their marketing programs going into the spring and the summer months.
All right. Well, don't go anywhere, Brian, and I'll be back in just a moment and talk about the opening of the livestock trade and get you all the futures numbers next here on the Market Report. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Brian.
Good talking with you, John. Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Same here. Got big plans for the weekend?
No, not really. I am remodeling a house. I'm not doing most of the work, but I do a little bit on the weekends.
Ah, yes.
Yes, a little bit.
Supposed to have nice weather for it?
Warm, better than early week weather. Yeah, by Sunday maybe 50 degrees, so that's all right.
How much snow did you end up with Springfield, Janet asks?
I think probably close to 10 to 12 inches overall.
Wow.
Yeah, just crazy amounts.
Wow. We got, I suppose, 5 or 6 here in Nashville.
Oh, I bet. Everywhere in the
looks,
country, like it did.
oh, it just looks funny with the magnolia trees green, but there's snow on them.
Hopefully this doesn't last for very long. We get rid of the snow pretty quickly.
I hope so. Well, what I'm worried about is if we do a big warm up and this wheat comes out of dormancy and then we get hit with something like this again.
Yeah, then you're talking significant loss if that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. An Easter frost is always a bad sign for wheat.
And I've seen it happen.
I've seen it happen. Good for the markets, though. We usually see a pretty good run up in prices.
Yeah, but it's disappointing when you you pull into the field and make a round and you look in the bin and there's barely anything covered in the unloading auger.
Yes, that's
oh, this isn't good. I mean, beautiful stand of straw, but nothing in it.
That's about right. That's it.
Been there, done that.
Oh,
and then there's been years that I think, oh, that killed it, and you have 60 bushel the acre wheat.
It's crazy.
There we go.
It's so hard to know about wheat.
I know. Bar chart provides the futures. Market Day Report provides you all of the information, both on RFD TV and Rural Radio, channel 147 on Sirius XM. Let's go over here and see how the livestock market has opened. Well, quite a bit stronger. February live cattle up 65 at 115.77. April's up 37 and the June is up 37 pennies. In the feeder cattle market, April up 37. This seems to be a trend. 142.12, May up 12, and the August is up 5 cents. So the cattle market on the higher side this morning, and so is the hogs. April up 70, May up 72 at 88.30, June up 27 at 92.92. Brian, back over here on this fat cattle market. Well, I've seen a little bit of trade at 114. That's still at a discount, but we've got a week left here in this month. What's your feelings? Can cash come up and meet this 115, or are the futures going to have to give something here?
Well, certainly the trade is expecting cash is going to come up. They're real disappointed that we didn't get better cash trade this week with the cold temperatures and all the snow that we had throughout the Midwest. And I think that's why we saw that sell-off occur on Wednesday, Thursday of this week. Funds kind of abandoned the marketplace. Now we're starting to see a little bit of positioning. Cattle on feed report out this afternoon could be a little bit friendly, but what's really friendly, I think, is the boxes catching hold and trying to rally once again. They were up last night, and during the day session, I think if they're up again at midday, we could extend these gains going into the closing bell and ahead of that on feed report.
Final question then, what about that marketing's number? Anything behind that?
Well, yeah, it's down from last year. We hope it improves just a little bit. I think there's, been a decent incentive to go ahead and do some marketing. So we'll see how that plays out. But, placements expected to be down a little bit from a year ago levels. And that's, certainly supportive to those summer months, the back months, and, limits the downside risk, I think, going into the summer.
Okay, Brian, hope you have a good day and a good weekend. The dollar index down 270 points at this point. Brian, we'll talk to you again very soon. And there is the openings. And now we'll just see how the day trends for us here today. Janet, back to you.